Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Building Site. Today Jeremy won't be with me and I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about Site and how to get started with Site. It's pretty easy and it's open source, so you can go to github/juxt./site, and here is, if you do, here's the website you should see here. So the first thing that we have to do is clone this repo. So I'm going to start a terminal and we're going to clone it. Here we go. All right, so the next step is to copy in a configuration file. We've done this here. I'm just going to copy in. Site comes with a sample configuration file. Now, Site is built on Crux, and Crux has its own configuration. So I'll just show you what that looks like. It's going to put some RocksDB indexes into our .local directory. You don't have to worry really about where the database exists. This is just really to get started, but we're going to run the database locally. Okay, now I'm going to configure a password. Now I'm going to create a new password for my user Mal here. I'm going to generate it. Okay, and that's in my password database. That will come in later. So we're ready to start the server. You should see it says Site by Juxt. So just wait for that to come up. And while we do, we'll start up another terminal. And we're going to connect a REPL to this running server. This running server, we need to bootstrap it with some resources. So let's do that. So I'm going to use ncat. I'm going to prefix it with rlwrap. That's optional. I'm going to go into 5055. You should see this banner here. So this is telling me that Site isn't ready. So we need to do a few things. So first thing, we'll have a look. There's no resources in Site at the moment. So let's change that. We'll put in an API. Now we can see it's got an API. And we're going to put some authentication resources in. Let's have a look at what those look like. Okay, so we've got a rule here. Anyone can post login credentials. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, this is a rule to say that anyone who's doing a post with the purpose of doing a login, that means that the effect is to allow that to go through. We also need a super user role, so we'll put that in here. Let's have a look at that super user role. We'll just look for things that have super user in them. Okay, get the first of those, and we should look at that entity. And here's a super user, and it has a Crux ID. This is its URL, and a role. This is a role, and now we have a rule. Now we've got to put a super user in, and super users are allowed to do anything. I'll just show you what that rule looks like here, which is what gives us the ability to remotely access this. So this is saying that this is a data log rule saying that if the subject of the request has a user and there is a mapping called user role mapping where the mapping's role is super user and that mapping has been assigned to that user, then let the request proceed. Okay, now we're all set up, but we've just got to do one last thing, which is to add in a super user. So I'll do that now. So I'll put my super user in, and I'm going to put my name in here. That's in. Okay, let's quit. And now we should be able to use our Site tool. So Site comes with a command line tool that allows us to remotely administer the system. And I'm going to just say get token. You could say -u here, Mal, but because Mal is my username, I don't need to do that. And now that's given me a token. I've exchanged my password for a token that I can use for an hour. And that allows me to do things like, let's see, list users and pipe that through JQ to get a nice, pretty JSON output. So that is getting started with the site. Hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to email us with any questions, or come and look at the stream, or look for future episodes. Well, have a nice evening.